Hey y'all, back out at the Prairie Dog Village. It looks like a pretty nice morning, just a slight bit of wind, maybe 5. Now these bullets, the 17 WSM, not to bore you too much with ballistics, but at 175 yards, which I'm certainly reaching out to, sometimes over 200, the bullet will drop, I believe, about 2.5 inches. Now I went out to the range and I wanted to verify this. I had my gun sighted in at I think 100 yards, and as you can see from the target, which I put out at 175 yards, 170 yards, just because there was a prairie dog mound that lifted the target up high enough I could see it when I was laying prone. I shot pretty close to, on average, about 3 inches low. So I wanted to know about, how many clicks I was going to need to reach out to 175, 200, whatever, on that vortex scope. And so I ended up on my second group. I moved it 12 clicks up, and I noticed I was hitting just a little bit right, and I think when Scott was shooting it, he was hitting a little bit right also. So I moved it 2 clicks to the left and 12 clicks up, and on the scope, that's the big number 3. So anyway, I got a little sloppy on that group, and so I decided, well, I better focus a little bit more. So I dropped it back down 6 clicks, and it still hit, I don't know, 1.5 inches high, basically, at 170 yards, which I was fine with. So kind of had a good idea of what I needed to do when I was reaching out to, 175 plus yards on these prairie dogs. I just put it up, 6 clicks or maybe 5 clicks or whatever, and I think I'd be just about dead on. So anyway, that's just a little bit of the ballistics of what I'm seeing there. So anyway, back to the prairie dog hunt. Anyway, if I get any shots, I'll be sure to get back to you. Well, I had a pair of prairie dogs show up. They were about 120 yards, but like a big dummy, after going to the range, I had forgot to set my scope back down to 0, so I was shooting way up above their heads. And fortunately, I realized that. I got it zeroed back down. One of the prairie dogs didn't run off. He just kind of was wondering what was that loud noise kind of thing. And you can kind of hear some of the wind blowing there a little bit. Not bad, though. So anyway, that one prairie dog makes the mistake of staying put. And I lobbed a bullet at him. And I think he was out at about maybe 120 yards, something like that. There's another one that's kind of playing peekaboo with me, and man, I think I'm going to get him. But when you're hunting alone like this and you trying to get the camera on them and then get back over on the gun and get it dialed in or whatever, sometimes it just doesn't work out. The prairie dogs are smarter than me, I guess. So anyway, that one gives me the slip. But anyhow, every now and then a blind hog finds an acorn, so this one gets out in the open pretty good, and I get a pretty good shot on him. It's just hard to resist when they stand up like that on their hind legs. I shoot center of mass on that one, and man, it lays him right down. I'm surprised he was able to even get up. I guess it didn't break his spine, but it finished him off pretty quick. You can see that was probably out at, I think that one was, I want to say 180 yards. This next one is, he's out at, I believe this is 90 yards. And he's way out in the open. I didn't even see him coming or going, but I just looked there and here he was right in the middle of the opening. So you can see I'm trying to get the camera to do right. Every time I let go of it, it kind of, the lens is so long it kind of starts sinking back down, so I have to over adjust it. in elevation so that it sinks to just the right amount. But I think I'm going to get this one at 90 yards, but he ducks right at the last second, I think. Goes right over his head. And then fortunately, he thinks something's behind him messing around back there, so you can hear I get another round in the chamber. And fortunately, he didn't move very far, so I didn't have to reposition the P900 Nikon. And so I think I'm going to get him. And of course, he turns facing me, but that's okay. I think at 90 yards, I'm pretty fair shot. They took his backbone out, and he was totally paralyzed. You kind of get an idea of about how far it is. Now here's another one I'm zooming in on. Now he's fairly close, but the problem was the camera was up about 2 feet off the ground on a tripod, and the camera can see him, but when I get down on the rifle scope, heck, I couldn't even see him at all because of all of that brush. So I ended up having to walk back about 5 yards to where that cedar tree was, and fortunately it had a little fork in it, and I was able to lay that gun in the fork and get a shot on him. He disappears so quick that I thought I missed him. You'll see what happens when the bullet hits him. He just drops down and falls in a hole, but he didn't go down the hole. He just was kind of laying in a depression. And I was able to find his carcass. But otherwise, I would have thought I missed him. But you can see there, it was a solid hit to his rib cage. It took him right down. You can kind of see about how far that shot was. Well, not real close, but not super far. Right at the end there, these old deer came by. There's a couple of fawns. You can see the spots on them. And the mama was, I guess, headed for shade. She was on the move, and the little ones were like, man, how are we going to get through this fence? That last one was like, I don't know, he almost gets tangled up. I thought I was going to have to go get him unstuck, but he makes it on through all right. Well, I ended up shooting, I believe, 7 times. The first miss was on me. That second miss, that prairie dog kind of ducked, and then got 5 today. So for me, I guess that's a pretty good day out, I would say. There's just, it's a small village, and anyway, I get what I can. But thanks for watching. Appreciate you, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.